for many poor children, it is their only protocol, and we need to keep that intact. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, thank you. My name is Michael Joyce. I live here in Potsdam, 14.5 Pleasant Street.
Can you speak up just a little bit, please?
Certainly. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak here. I'm one of the providers at Potsdam Hospital. I care for patients. Not only do we try to care for people, we try to be scientists and look at the data that's out there. I've heard some other folks talk who are not proponents of fluoridating, continuing with fluoridating the water. But they're not necessarily against providing fluoride to folks. And there were some interesting numbers presented, ideas such as wastefulness. And that actually was very interesting, and it hit home. It actually had me thinking. But right now what we're doing is proven. I don't know if the alternatives to what we propose now is proven. Seatbelts. We often don't use them. I've never had to use my seatbelt, but I'm going to continue to use it. So one could argue that seatbelts in most cars may be wasteful, but they're still very important, and I'm sure we wouldn't want to get rid of our seatbelts. So until another proven method comes along to replace global fluorination of our water supply, I would like to stick with the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi there, my name is Ashley Grimshaw. I'm one of the new family care physicians at Canton Potsdam Hospital. I actually live in Canton, but obviously a good portion of my patients are going to come from Potsdam. And like Dr. Bureau said, from a pediatrician and a family practice standpoint, our most important job is prevention. Unfortunately, a lot of the time that comes with a lot of effort on our behalf, speaking to our patients, providing supplementation, providing toothbrushes, telling our patients and the kids in front of us over and over and over again to brush their teeth, to floss, to use Listerine, and all of those things. And a lot of the times when it comes from a primary care perspective or just any medical perspective, it's hard to guarantee that those things are going to happen. You have to kind of look at the easier route versus kind of the harder route, or the route that puts more effort, even if it doesn't seem like all that much effort. We're all busy people. Our kids are busy. Our kids need to get to bed. My 6-year-old stepdaughter, half the time, as she's climbing into bed, I'm like, wait, did you brush your teeth? Because we're all so busy. Putting fluoride in the water itself is not only proven, it's a passive way to get this to people. They don't need to think about it. They don't need to get their toothbrush out. They don't need to go to the store to get a toothbrush. They don't need to pick up toothpaste. They don't need to remind their children every single night, do this or do that. They're getting it straight from the water. Anytime they have water just out of the tap, anytime they make some juice with that water, anytime they're putting that water on in their cooking or using it for any purpose, it's passively getting to people, and that's been proven to help them in a way that doesn't put much effort or necessarily financial burden on for the greater good. So I think that's something to think about also, that while I want to say the other side of the argument, the other presented option of providing toothbrushes and education and toothpaste and fluoride tablets is a good one. We're not saying that we shouldn't be doing those things. The other side of the argument is, how do you reach those people? How do you, if they're not coming into their doctor's office, what people are going to go door to door? How are you going to fund the movement to get out to everyone? Right now, we have something that goes right into the pipes, right straight into their home without us having to do all of that extra legwork, which we are doing every day and willing to do, but we're also reaching people who don't see us, who don't read the newspaper, who aren't coming out of their homes all that often. So,
Thank you. Next. Anyone? Sir?
evening. My name is Sean Corbett. I live at 19 Pine Street here in the village. I'm a registered nurse at Camp Potsdam Hospital. I've been serving this community for 17 years. I've lived in this community my entire life. Excuse me. I remember reading that the fluoridation was implemented 35 years ago. I'm 35. I've been drinking this water my entire life. Bones are pretty good. Nerves, yeah, they're a little shaky from time to time. Intelligence levels? Well, you may have to ask all the doctors I work with. But I've heard nice things. This is the water I drink. This is the water my children drink. We work from an evidence-based perspective as healthcare providers. We do not work based off of feelings. We use the evidence in front of us. We make decisions. We provide the best we can. Municipal fluoridation needs to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Anyone?
Should we-
Bless you. I'm Pat Walzer, I live at 361 Silver Falls Road, actually in the town of Parishville. I have a Potsdam address. My family has worked, gone to school, shopped, eaten out, and lived much of our lives in Potsdam. Each day I sent my daughter to school in Potsdam with a water bottle and drinks that were not fluoridated in order to help protect her from the negative health effects of fluoridation. I'm aware that much of the coffee, soup, and foods we eat at our public restaurants, schools, colleges, and workplaces contain even more fluoride because the fluoride becomes more concentrated through the food preparation process. Even the amount of fluoride coming from the tap in Potsdam has been shown to have significant effects. I recently attended a 3-day health conference in the Adirondacks. Several doctors and health professionals in attendance understood the dangers of fluoridation and how they outweigh the benefits. I contacted one of the area doctors, Dr. Karen Cannon of Lake Placid, for more information. She recommended a website which I'll share with you all, and it provides a synopsis of some of the links with that site that provides evidence from doctors and other medical professionals. I suggest you take a look at the site and the video on your own. It's very telling. There's no doubt fluoride should not be ingested. Even though it already exists in the water supply, it's not the added form that's not medical grade and contains other heavy metals. Even scientists from the EPA classify fluoride as having substantial evidence of developmental neurotoxicity. The CDC states that 41% of children, most of whom get fluoride, have unattractive discoloration and modeling of the teeth due to overexposure from fluoride. Dozens of scientific studies have shown that fluoride lowers IQ, impairs thyroid function, increases toxicity, aluminum and lead levels, damages many parts of the brain, and worse yet, it increases the development of beta amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's and the risk of tumors and cancer. Clearly, children and adults are being overexposed and our health is put in jeopardy. The only solution is to stop the practice. You now have a great opportunity and a responsibility to improve the health and safety of the community. There are safer ways to ensure the dental health of the kids without damaging the public health. It would be a travesty to legislate that we all consume poison in our drinking water, cook with it, bathe in it, and flush it into our environment. Don't force us, please, to ingest this toxic waste. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
particular, could I respond to just a couple of the comments that were given since the directed the presentation? But as a,
3 minutes.
thank you. I've lived up here all my life too. Oh, I'm sorry. I've lived up here all of my life too, and I would like to bring a little history into this. In 1981, the village of Potsdam went through a fluoridation nightmare, whereby a diaphragm line broke, an entire barrel was dumped into the system. You can find this online through a report. There are many such instances around the country of this type of problem that happens, and it's not safe. As far as water and stuff like that could be toxic, none of that stuff has a hazardous material data sheet attached to it. Your chicken soup doesn't. If you dump your chicken soup, you don't need a containment system and all of that type of stuff. So fluoride falls into a completely different category as chicken soup. It's not even close. They're different. The CDC does not differentiate between fluoride toothpaste and water. What they do is point out the disparity in the actual scientific studies that were done between the two, meaning fluoridated water was studied over a lifetime and fluoride toothpaste only a couple of years. They go on to make the statement that the two of them are very likely one as effective as the other if given the studies were the same length of time. That's the CDC. So my plan does not take and get rid of fluoride. In fact, it does promote it, but it does it in a much better and safer way, and it also gives people the opportunity who don't want it to not receive it. Nobody forces anything down anybody's throat in this plan. It's voluntary all the way around. It should garner a lot of support in the community. If I was a professional and I was a dentist, you know what I would do? I would dress up as a big tooth with a toothbrush so that all the little kids would come to me and they would say, I like this guy, I want to know what he's about. And then the parents would say, if this guy is that much into his dental job and stuff like that, that's who I want to bring my kids to. That's what they would say, and that's how you help promote your own special interest in your business. That's exactly how it's done. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Could we get an intermediate round of applause for the scientific expertise that's in our community?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Could we get an intermediate round of applause for the scientific expertise we have in our community?
Yes.
Sure, you can clap now.
One more speaker, yeah?
I don't really have a lot to say, Dean Watcher. It's hard to stand up here as a few of the lone dissenters in this issue. Mr. Bartlett has presented a plan. It's an alternative plan, and I know in some emails back and forth that this group, the dissenters, or whatever you want to call us, that do not want fluoridation in our water, have no alternative plan. Well, we showed an alternative plan. What I would ask for you now is possibly to kick that around. I've asked you to look to our neighbors to the north of Aquasasna, because they have taken fluoride out of their water for a reason. So I would implore you, I've asked this a few times, I've sent emails, you've gotten hundreds of emails from me, I believe, to talk to them there. They'd be glad to talk to you. They won't come into our community here and force anything on you. But if you go to them, they will talk to you. The last couple of days I've been using a pressure washer. And for some reason this summer I've used 20,000 gallons of water. My water bill quite reflects that. And as I was sitting power washing my boat yesterday, I'm thinking, what brought it to mind was this gentleman's slide here about all the waste, all the water, all this that's going down the ground, it's being flushed down the toilet. These industries that manufacture this silica fluorides, hexafluosilicic acid, Alcoa, sodium fluoride, they can't dump this anywhere. They have to pay to have it dumped. They just can't dump it in the river. They can't dump it in the ground anywhere. But yet, They can dump it, you're allowing them to dump it in our public drinking water. I don't consent to that. And it goes right down the drain. And I can't understand this medical community. There's so many highly intelligent people here that they will not look at the negative effects of silica fluoride. I'm not talking calcium fluoride. Calcium fluoride is natural. It's very good for your body. But silica fluoride, the neurology professional here, I'd like to understand why the Lancet has a great article in there on how toxic it is for the brain, for cognitive impairment. I just don't understand why these professionals can't take the blinders off and look at all aspects. And that's all I ask. I implore you, before you take a vote, possibly, to look at this plan that has been presented to you and kick it around and see, give it an honest, intellectual look. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Ginger Aiken, 7 Leroy Street. My husband was called into the emergency room and unfortunately had to take a patient to the OR, so he was unable to be here tonight, but wanted me to, once again, express his gratitude to the board of trustees, and to just reiterate, throughout more than 70 years of research and practical experience, the weight of credible scientific research has consistently indicated that community water fluoridation is safe. The overwhelming weight of credible scientific research is consistent. And I love the alternative plan. I do. I think it's definitely something we should look into. And like I said in the last meeting, that there were no numbers of how much it costs, how we're going to get this to the children, what healthcare providers are needed in order to see this through. And I think it's something that we should consider, because fluoride isn't enough. Fluoride in the water isn't enough. But there was a study done in 1985. I don't have the name of the study. I will make sure we get it to you. That compared 4 cities, 2 with fluoride, 2 without fluoride, and they both received the measures that this gentleman was talking about. Topical fluoride, toothbrushes, education, and even with all of that, the fluoridated communities were still better protected. They had fewer caries. So we should do all we can and not remove the fluoride from the water. I think that would be detrimental.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sir?
So I'm Dr. Andrew Williams. I live on 5 Missouri Ave here in the village. First, I wanted to thank everyone who's gathered here, but especially the village trustees. I know this has been a long process, and everyone has patiently listened to both sides of this important issue, and I know you've given it your consideration. Again, I would just assert that community water fluoridation is proven to be safe, effective, economical, and ethical. I think we all agree that fluoride is effective in preventing dental infections and decay. You've heard that there's extensive research that shows there's no adverse effect of fluoride when it's used at levels in community water fluoridation on the whole body. It doesn't impact the thyroid, it doesn't impact the brain, and it doesn't impact the bones. However, dental infections clearly are associated with serious chronic and acute medical illnesses, heart disease, crippling arthritis, deadly infections of the brain and heart. I don't think that we can afford to withhold this effective preventative measure. The precautionary principle clearly dictates that we continue a program that has an extensive track record of safety and efficacy in preventing a known harmful disease and illnesses associated with that disease. I think to discontinue this would be reckless. There are many opportunities beyond community water fluoridation to address the oral health crisis. The state, the county, our local FQHC, our local providers are already working on these measures. I think we need to work harder. I like the idea of a more comprehensive oral health program, and I think some of the ideas that were presented make a lot of sense. And if anything good has come out of this debate, I think all the medical providers in the community and me as the president of the Board of Health really recognize that oral health is an issue that needs more attention in this community. And I think it's actually energized people to think of other ways besides community water fluoridation. But again, because community water fluoridation has a track record of 70 years of safety and efficacy, I strongly argue that we continue this while we work on a more comprehensive oral health program for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Minutes, please.
Main Street.
Can you please speak up?
Oh, sorry. Shelley, hi. Spoke before. First of all, I did want to mention that a plan has been presented to the trustees. It was not widely distributed, although parts of it are on the Clean Water Potsdam Facebook page. Actually, a draft version of what Jerry put together. So there is actually a more comprehensive plan than what's shown there. It does include some basic ideas for budget and that kind of thing, although not an actual budget in it. The main budget would be a part-time coordinator. That would be the main cost right now for the Keep Potsdam Smiling plan. Just to kind of review some of the things that have been said and inferences made about and outright claims about the entire total safety of fluoride. Most of those studies that people look at, and please, if you're looking at these studies yourself, differentiate between whether they are saying they are safe for the teeth or safe for the entire body. Two completely different things. Very safe for the teeth, for the most part. I mean, there can be some things, Dr. Osmundson's presentation showed the blow-ups and, that can be bad, but